Okay, start the streaming. Come on, start the streaming. Start the streaming. Start the streaming. There we go. Hello, you clown. Righto, amigos. Hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough to be doing it too. I'm Bushka on Blitz. That's my head right there in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Don't look away. You can't unsee what has been seen. Hello. Pop out the live chat. Now, why am I doing it like this? Well, I wanted to do a full vid for the live streams, but what happened was there was a bit of an issue with me getting access to the live server. So I had to duck in down. Oh, hang on. Positive has dragged me back up to the event room. Well, no, you're all in here with me.
No,
Hello.
no, dropped down.
You've dropped down. So this isn't going to be a whole lot of me playing or anything, but this is all about the patch that's coming up, the balance. And I wanted to talk about this in depth with you guys and talk about what was going on with it, because obviously there's a lot of stuff going on, and the game is...
Could have warned me, mate. I've had a bottle of wine, you know.
Okay, there we go. We're footloose and fancy 3 in Ireland tonight. Okay, back to it. Back to it. Oh dear God. Saturday night at the movies. Alrighty.
See Star Wars tomorrow night.
Oh, mate, I'm going to do it too. Okay, so I'm going to go through these changes. Now, there's a lot of changes. Like, there's an awful lot of changes, hey. So let's just get these ones done first and foremost. And then we can see where we go from here. Okay, why is this doing this to me? Why is it doing this? Why is it doing this? Okay, patch. It's hilarious. Don't know why it wants... This is what
Saturday morning with you, mate. If
it
you've got
is.
like a ticket or something.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It is Saturday morning with me here, and yeah, pretty much what you said there. I've got a ticket, a very short ticket. Here we go. Patch 4.5. Let's get the notes up. For patch 4.5. Okay, finally, here we go. So, this is a real response, I think. Now, Skate mentioned this when we were in Minsk, and we were all in a big room talking together about the changes that were coming up in the game. And one of the things that we talked about specifically was rebalancing a whole heap of different tiers. And there were various tanks that we thought were overpowered, and the developers considered them overpowered too. And one of the things you're going to notice in this patch is that there's a lot of buffs to 4.5. There's a lot of buffs to tier 7 heavy tanks, like this tank here, the M6A2E1. And they're not just with the armor, although there are a couple of them which are armored tank, like armor buffs. And the big one for me there is going to be the Tiger P. This one's getting massive armor buffs. But the big difference is that you won't see any buffs to tanks like the Helsing or the Dracula. Now, that's not by accident, or any light tanks really at all. And the reason is because they're trying to, without nerfing those tanks, everyone gets really upset about the nerfs, they're actually trying to buff the rest of the field up. Now, I personally have not had a big issue with those, with playing like the Tiger 1. I do really well in it, but it's getting a buff. But the Tiger P, it's getting a big old buff. And tanks like the VK4502A at tier 8, which have been underperforming for an awfully long time, and I called this out a long time ago, and I'm not saying I'm a genius, because a lot of people have told you that this thing is like playing one-legged in an ass-kicking competition. It's getting buffed. So other things that people have been calling for ages, like a buff to the Ferdinand, all this kind of thing, they're coming as well. So we're going to talk right through that. Now, let's have a crack. First of all, I'll take it by the numbers. M6A2E1, you can see their big buffs there. It's getting a reload increase, reload decrease, and the turret traverse has been increased dramatically. Now that's going to mean it's able to deal with medium tanks and light tanks specifically a lot better. There's going to be less time between damage output, so they don't get so much time to, you know, basically getting close and screw them. And there's also a big increase in the traverse speed on the turret, so that's massive, particularly for that tank, because I mean, obviously, it's a street called struggle. Now, I don't have the VK4503 on. I don't have that on test at the moment, I don't think, and I'm not sure. There's some of these here that I just can't buy, right? So we're just going to have to suck that up. Nothing I can do about that. We're just going to have to suck that up. But I will show you, for instance, something else that's getting worked on, and this is specifically hat tip to my mate Shaky. The gun mantlets on these tanks here, the E4, the E3, the T110E5. I'll show you quickly on what I'm talking about here.
There was one of the British ones as well. That
yeah, the 215B. That's what I'm bringing up. Where are we? Okay, so let's go to this. Here we go. See this purple part here, like behind the turret? You can see that armor there. It's not rendering correctly, or it wasn't rendering correctly, and my mate Shaky pointed this out to me, and then we had a good old ding-dong about it, and we worked it out, and we went in and we tested it, and we showed the video to the devs, and they fixed it. So that area behind the turret wasn't rendering correctly, so you're able to put shots straight through the middle of the gun mantlet, right? Which was bad. That was pretty bad. And the E4 particularly, that big purple patch behind was not happening. You were getting zero armor there, which was a bad thing. Like, people weren't happy with it because they were getting penned through. I'll just show the primary armor and hide that. So that's your primary armor. That's your spaced armor. Here's your primary armor, right? It's showing as 0 thickness. See how that's showing as 0? The area behind the gun mantlet is showing as 0. So you were incorrectly getting that. It was meant to be a number, and you'll see in the patch notes here, and I'll drop them in here for you now so you can hear exactly what I'm talking about. This is the T110E4. This is what the patch notes now say about this, which is pretty important. The armor thickness behind the gun mantlet was changed from 0 to 152 millimeters, right? Yeah, Robbie, I agree. If they nerf anything, it's Bushka's fault. You're not wrong. That 0 is now 152. And what that means is you can't just fire, which people don't always do, but if you're like me and you know it's there, you can fire like a 320 millimeter shell and it goes straight through the gun mantlet right now. But, you know, a lot of people don't do that because they just look at the hit skins and they don't realize. But that is now the case for that tank. It is now the case for the T110E5, and it's the 215B as well. If we go back and look at that 215B, that's going to be a huge, massive pickup for the 215B. I'm not sure if we can see it as clearly on the 215B. It's very, very hard to get that area there on the 215B. It's not even rendering here at the moment. There it is, the primary armor. See that 0 part there? On the 215B, that is changing from 0, a flat out 0, which is pretty bad, to 254 millimeters. That's a big, big change, because you should not be able to fire at that section of a tank that's a heavy tank at tier 10 and just pen it. And that's pretty cool, hey. So let's go back now to the in-game stuff. Now, I'm sorry if this is a little bit dry, because, yeah, we're going to have a look now at the IS-4. I really want to look at the IS-4, because I think that's going to be really exciting. And I'm going to show you the IS-4's armor right there. And I'm going to show you the IS-4's armor now. Let's drop that back. No. There. Okay. So that's the IS-4 now, right? That's the new armor profile. And I'll jump in a training room and let's select a vehicle. Let's grab a tier 10, the Bat Chat, that'll do. And go to the training room, ready up. And let's get that going on here. And battle. Okay, let's get this in a training room. And I'll show you... no, I've done this. I've done this arse up. Apologies. I've done this arse up. This is my fault. Okay, so you don't need to use... yeah, okay. Let's exit this garage. Exit to garage. Sorry, guys. I'm a bit of a clown. Exit to garage. Yeah, I need to do this the other way around. Hey, so you can actually see the IS-4. That would be helpful. Sorry. Here we go. So I'm just going to drive on into the area, and you can see an IS-4. Now what I'm also going to do is show you the armor of the IS-4 versus the Batchat in Armor Inspector as it sits right now, okay? So I'm just getting that all together here for you. Don't tell me I don't go to the ends of the earth to show you humans this stuff. Yeah, 210E5 turret buff is coming, or at least the removal of the cupola. Right. Now let's get it 100 meters, because that's how far away it's going to want to show us. About somewhere about here, right? That's cool. Right, now this is with the Batchat. So what I'm going to show you is that. You can see the Batchation, and that's how it looks with standard rounds. And then we go to, oh my god, I didn't bring any heat. Bushka. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, could we be bothered, people? do you want me to bother? That's the IS-4. So that's the Batchat with 240 millimeters of pen. Okay, bottom is obviously visible, and that's always been the case for the IS-4. But if we angle it up, you're going to see that there is a difference in the side armor. A distinct difference, and the distinct difference is in the strength of the side armor. But the upper glacis and everything has been buffed. Like the frontal armor on the IS-4 now is absolutely boss. I mean, that is incredibly red. And if we angle it, you can see the side armor. Like, look at that. To 240 millimeters, you have to really savagely over angle. And that's still very tough to pen now on the lower glacis as well. That's the IS-4 now in a nutshell. That is a tough tank to get through. And if we have a look at the IS-4 versus the Batchat angled up in the current meta, you can see at about the same angle, and I'll show you that by dropping back to the YouTube window here. You can see how the lower glacis on the IS-4 nowadays is massively pennable, but because you have so much side armor, you're losing side armor on the IS-4, and it's not really hurting it because you've just got too much, and it's like surplus value. You've got so much side armor on the IS-4, like even slightly angled up, it's at 300 plus millimeters. You've got 396 millimeters of pen, 384 all down the sides on the current armor model, and it's unnecessary. You don't need it. So you can actually side angle on this tank to a massive degree now, and it won't over angle, and you'll still bounce shots occasionally on the lower glacis as well. So there you go. Big bust for the IS-4, right? So I think that's pretty cool. Hello, the real fake Bushka. Today is sunny in Sydney. Yes, it is. All right. So you got that. That's the IS-4. Cool. Let's exit to the garage. I just wanted to give you a practical example of why they were changing the IS-4 and what they were doing to it. Now let's have a look at some of the other things. Obviously the armor is changing. The whole model is changing for the IS-3. But let's have a look at the tier 7s in particular, hey. Okay. And there's some big changes to the tier 7s. Tiger P is getting a huge upgrade. Massive upgrade. The Tiger P is going to be having... Right, so the armor thickness on the hull cheeks. Now that's these cheeks in here. Like on either side, you can see the area that's like angled above the tracks, that's angled in. Those hull cheeks are going from 80 millimeters to 200 millimeters. Okay, that is pretty huge. The patch is not out. I'm running 2 accounts on the test server at the moment. That's how you can see all this, right? Yeah, I am allowed to be playing on a Sunday because it's my wife's giving me special clearance. The mantlet thickness was changed to 135 millimeters. That's that area around there, which is pretty important. That's, if we have a look at the Tiger P, as it is at the moment, where are we? Okay. Tiger P. And we go to the X-ray version. And that's, as far as I'm aware, that's this area here, right? That area. That's currently 100 millimeters of armor. So there you go. The armor... What's that? Okay, bye. So guys, the 8.8 reload time decreased. Turret traverse was increased, mate, to 26 degrees per second. The traverse speed on the chassis for the top one was increased to 22 degrees per second, and this is all base stuff. And the dispersion on the turret traverse was decreased as well, as the reverse speed was up to 14 kilometers an hour. So it's like really massive. Like the buffs to the Tiger P are massive. Here's another buff that I think was completely unwarranted, but you're going to get it anyway. And this is a huge reaction to the Drac and everyone else. Like, it's a massive reaction because really they basically are nerfing everything by raising. They're nerfing the Drac and everything else by raising the tier 7 heavies and other tanks that were really struggling with it. And it's pretty important. This is going to be my favorite buff is to the Ferdinand. And the VK4502A. Those things have been so overdue a buff, it's ridiculous. But let's get through the tier 7s anyway. So the T29, this is madness. This is madness. This is a really good tank. And they nerfed this tank a couple of times because it was so good. But anyway, the traverse speed on the turrets was increased from 14.6 to 26.07. That's a nearly 100% increase on the turrets, right? And I'm just looking at the tech tree tanks mostly here, guys. The loopers and everything is insane. We'll get to the loopers. They were the most unnecessary buffs. Okay, thanks very much for the donation, Fur557. I really appreciate it. The reload time was decreased by a full second on both the T123 turret and the T136 turret. The chassis, the traverse was increased from 26 to 28. And the maximum reverse speed was increased from 12 kilometers to 14. Like, but Tim, come on, man, dude, Tim Smith, you got to serious. Like the cruiser was so ridiculous. Okay, so that's crazy. So that's probably one of the most unnecessary buffs. Okay, but let's just cruise through this stuff right now. The Tiger 1. It got buffs, reload time decrease, massive reload time decrease to 5.56 for this gun here, the 8.8 L43 L71 gun. So that's 10.79 rounds a minute now at 220 alpha. This thing has become absolutely lethal Like, it is so quick, and I heard Skate say the same thing. This is one of my favourite tanks to drive at Tier 7. It is just like a massive medium hunter now. Traverse speed was increased to 26 degrees flat for this stuff here, which is crackers. Like, the traverse speed on the suspension now, we've got this at 38.68 degrees per second, maxed out. Like, forget about it. Just crazy. This turret is now 26.07 degrees per second, which is massive, and it got an 80 horsepower boost to its engine. The Maybach, this one, where is it? Where are we? Okay. Yeah, this is now at the Maybach HL230 TRM P45 780. This is low-key going to be an absolute blowing up medium and light tanks monster. I mean, look at the top speed on this thing already. Where are we? Okay. I'm using a mouse here, so things go a lot quicker as we go through. View range, 240. Traverse speed. Slow down, Bushka. You're pushing too fast. Speed limit. It's 44 kilometers an hour. It's got 80 more horsepower, which is over 10% increase to your horsepower. It's got more traverse than you can poke a stick at. And it's now got 10 rounds a minute. This is base, right? This is 10 rounds a minute without running a gun rammer or anything. Let's put the gun rammer on it. And look at that now. You're at 11.6 rounds a minute. I'm going to run those numbers for you very, very quickly. 11.6 times 220 equals 2,552 DPM on a Tier 7 heavy. It's a heavium. It's a massive, massive, massive heavium. I love this Tiger 1. I really love it. I don't know if it's going to be for everyone, but I love it to bits. Tiger P is going to be really, really strong. KV3, let's go through the KV3. It's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit recently, so I'm not surprised it's got a little bit of a buff up. And we haven't even got to the coolest one yet. Okay, so it's got a buff to turret traverse speed again 6 degrees on both the turrets, basically. It's got a 3-degree buff on the chassis, the first one, and for the top chassis, it's got a 3.1 degree buff. It's got another 50 horsepower on the engine, and again, they increased the reverse speed and the... thanks very much, boys and girls. I didn't try and get the Sentinel's machine gun nerfed. I love the Sentinel's donger. It's fantastic. Thanks very much, Bradley Birkin. The IS-4 is going to be very, very strong. Sun is shining on my head. Yes, there is sun shining on my head. Okay, I've got a lot to get through here, guys, so I'm not ignoring you, but I've got a lot to get through. The IS-2, they tried to buff. It got balked. They couldn't do it. The IS itself, 5-degree traverse buff on pretty much all the turrets. In fact, a 6.5 degree traverse buff on the top turret. The chassis copped on the top chassis, you copped a monstrous 7.3 degree traverse buff. Seems legit. And again, reverse speed increased to 14 kilometers and dispersion on the move decreased. All these Tier 7 heavies are going to be absolute monsters now. I'm going to be doing a lot of new reviews on these because they're completely different tanks. These heavies are now well equipped to deal with Draculas. The Drac just got nerfed to hell. So did the Type 62 Dragon, so did the LTTB, so did the SP1C, which didn't need it, it needed help. All the fast, light and medium tanks at Tier 7 just got a whole big upgrade to their competition. These, like the Black Prince, right? Rate of fire on this thing is increased to 3.64 seconds. A decrease, rather. That means you've got 12.2 rounds a minute at 160. That is filthy, filthy damage for a Tier 7 heavy. Turret traverse got a massive near 6.5 degrees increase on that. You've only got the one turret. It got a massive increase. I called this thing the Black Wince because it was so slow and so hard to move. Armor is really good now on it, and it's got a 2 degrees upgrade to the turret traverse, to the chassis traverse, and a big gun upgrade. So it's going to make it a whole lot better, I think, anyway. Pretty important stuff there. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Have a lot of things to get through. So the Tiger P we've done. KV3, IS, Black Prince, big upgrades. T29, massive upgrade. Just quickly, I will cover off on the premium vehicles that got buffed. Tankenstein needed a buff. I love Tankenstein. I really enjoy playing it. If you've got it, I'm going to really play it a lot more now because it's like a T30 at tier 7 now. It's going to be very, very relevant, okay? The M6A2E1 got a buff. It didn't need it, but it got a buff. 4503 got a buff. Needed it. Really, really relevant tank now. Turret traverse at nearly 30 degrees base. 31.29 of base traverse speed and a DPM increase. The Nameless got a buff. Didn't need it, but it got 7 degrees more traverse. An extra kilometer in reverse and a decrease on turret traverse. I can't show you the new event. That's why there's a white blot on screen. Okay, you're going to find out about it. The Predator Ultramarines, you've seen me drive this thing. I love it. It got a reload speed increase, so it got more DPM. It got 4 degrees more traverse. Engine durability was doubled, and chance of fire on impact was dropped to 5% from 10. Like, what are they even thinking? I don't understand. The Vindicator pen on the HE anti-tank, like the heat was increased to 150 millimeters, and it got an engine durability and chance of fire and increased buff as well. Like, yeah, it wasn't really good. The IS-3, I'll show you how it looks now. Let's go to the tier 8 stuff. That's how it looks. Looks really, really cool. And the AMX CDC got a slight DPM increase. Not much. It probably needed more. So Drac was nerfed. That is the big news here. Drac needed a nerf. The developers wanted to nerf it. The guys at in game design and that said there was a real issue there because people paid big money for that tank, despite the fact it was massively overpowered. So Helsings and Dracula platoons and things like that, which were overpowered as all hell. If you didn't see, there was a video up of channel me recently playing a Helsing as a TD and then driving it as a heavy just after. And in the same game, I picked up 5,600 damage in a tier 8 game with the Helsing. Like, it's a joke. It's a joke, okay? Bushka Jr. is downstairs. But, like, this is good news. If you like tier 8 heavies, tier 7 heavies, it's good news. Like, they are going to be... And let's be honest, tier 7 has been the super overpowered plat tier for lights and mediums forever. And it's going to be a tier where the heavies are really, really relevant, right? The tank destroyers don't need a buff at tier 7, dude. Have you driven an ISU 152 lately? Like, for God's sakes. But tank destroyers. The Ferdinand. Let's talk about the Ferdinand. Okay. Let's go to the Ferdinand. And by the way, I am just aghast at the fact that the Lupus got a 7.5 degree traverse buff to its turret and a 3 degree, 2.2 degree, sorry, traverse buff to its tracks. I'm aghast at that. Hang on one sec, guys. What was that, Rach? Okay, give me 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, I got to finish up really soon, guys, so I'm just going to bust on through this, all right? This is really important because you need to know this stuff. The Ferdinand. This is why I wish they wouldn't release patches on a weekend. It just blows me up. The Ferdinand. So long overdue. The armor thickness on the hull cheeks. Now, this is the same hull cheeks. This stuff here, right? This stuff here. That is what's been increased. I'll show you it here. Okay, if we have a look at the... Okay, that's this stuff here. See these things? 80 millimeters. They are being increased to... And I'll bring that game window back now. There we go. They are being increased from 80 millimeters up to 200 millimeters. That's absolutely massive because that means you've got 200 angled at the front next to a 200 millimeter plate, which is going to make this very, very important. It's getting an engine buff, 50 more horsepower, right? And the durability was increased by 16.7. Dispersion on the move was increased, and its terrain resistance stats on soft and medium terrain were drastically improved. That is going to be a long overdue buff for the big bloody elephant. So congratulations to those of you who love the 30. It really picked up a whole lot of stuff. Moving right along.
Used to be one of the strongest tanks in the game, Bushka.
It was. It was.
Very new.
It was. Everyone loved it, and it then just got nerfed into the ground and comparatively screwed over. Tiger 2 as well, picking up an engine buff. It's getting an extra 80 horsepower. Excellent. VK4502B, that horsepower on this thing was increased by 50 horsepower. Excellent, needed it. E75, 50 horsepower. The VK4502B got 20 more horsepower. IS4 we've covered, all the other stuff we've covered. The Batchat coupler was finally fixed, and I've got to go before I get a divorce in my text box. So thanks very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. That was very, very quick. I did the very, very level best I could to show you that stuff in a live stream format. I commented on the T29. I've commented on all the important ones. The big thing to remember here, guys, is that this is an indirect buff to the stuff that is drastically overpowered at tier 7. Dracula, Helsing, Type 62 Dragon, E25s, all those kind of things. This is a big nerf to those tanks, which is important and really, really good for game balance, I think anyway. And if you disagree, leave some mentions in the comments. One final thing, I've been doing a massive thing with YouTube. I've been putting these polls up. We got 3,000 votes in the first 16 hours. So you guys, I'm going to be using that community tab all the time. It means we're going to be having an E75 video very, very soon, an ISU 152 video, and then I'm going to be putting up some more tanks. I'm also getting video ideas from the comments which people put in there. I'm going to be doing a comparison review of the Type 59, Type 54 Mod 1, the T44, the T54 Lightweight, all those Tier 8 mediums that look very, very similar. I'm going to show you the real differences between them and why they exist, all that kind of stuff. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Love your work. There's going to be more polls coming. Thanks for the donations. Only a very short one. Until next time, look after yourselves and stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now. Sorry, guys. That was just a short one, and my wife's going to absolutely wreck me if I don't go downstairs and get the job done. I'll see you later, boys. See you, Benny Bot.
Be good.
Be
Cheers,
good at
man.
school.